Hi, I'm Ann Saylor. This is Susan Ragsdale from Right Creations Group, and we are here to share some stuff with you today.
So, we're going to talk about our new book that's coming out that we're very excited about. It's Great Group Reflections 50 Compelling Challenges to Prompt Self Discovery and Critical Thinking.
So, Susan, I wanted to ask you why this book? Where did this idea come from?
So, Anne and I were at the Volunteer Tennessee Conference and sat down with a couple of colleagues, and they posed the question and said, "When are you guys going to come out with a new book? We really could use some activities on reflection and to draw out teachable moments through service learning and to teach the importance of asking questions." So that was an idea. And then a couple months later, someone else approached us about doing a training, and they wanted to teach the power of reflection and asking questions, but this was in a totally different space. It was like in a workplace experiencing space. So that was the original idea.
And I've heard you talk about a really personal story that helped you start to discover the importance of reflection as a tool when teaching.
Yeah, so when we were talking to our colleagues and our friends, I it took me back to college. And I remembered a particular professor, Craig King, who was one of my favorite professors, and he taught philosophy. And one of the things that, well, it was a philosophy class. You ask a lot of questions and you
Mm-hmm.
don't give a lot of answers. But that was really frustrating to us as students. He would ask a question, he'd put his hands behind his back, rock back on his heels, and just smile and wait and wait and wait. Because he wanted us to do the thinking, he wanted us to come up with our own discernment, think it through for ourselves. And I realized even then as a college student that I wanted to take more philosophy classes, not because I needed a philosophy degree, but because I wanted to be with him and learn how to think for myself. It
Mm-hmm.
was the first time in college, it took until college, that I was in a space where a teacher really wanted me to think through things and not just spit back an answer.
It's interesting in college, I remember the same kind of discovery taking counseling classes and taking education classes where professors repeatedly told me don't ever give the answer. Whenever a student or a young person or anyone asks you a question, you always flip it back with a question to promote self-discovery, because whenever you give somebody the answer, it never sticks.
Yeah.
The answers that stick are the ones that you pull out of your own heart and your own mind. So that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm going to say on the flip side that was my experience a few decades ago in college. But when I was in the YMCA and running our service corps, which is
Mm-hmm.
when Ann and I met, when we were both doing service learning, we were putting on a national conference, and I had this wonderful committee of 10 adults and 10 young people. And I was telling them that we're going to craft this together, and I want all of their ideas. And you may remember this, but
I
one of
do.
one of the high school students, she raised her hand and she said, I've heard adults say that they want our ideas, but they really haven't wanted our ideas. They haven't acted on them." So you're fast forwarding a few more decades, and I'm like, this cycle's repeating itself. Young
Mm-hmm.
people are not being given the opportunity to think, to try, to do new things, to fail in a safe space, and to lead. And I think if we're going to develop those leadership skills and service skills, it starts with being able to think well and
Mm-hmm.
clarify what your values are um, and what you believe in. And well, you're teaching now, even. So, what's the importance now that you see for asking really good questions and reflecting and building that space into what you teach?
I find that I use reflection all the time. I use reflection at the beginning of my time with my students. Pre reflection, getting ready to dive into a challenge. We stop and do reflection in the middle of our class periods, just evaluating what's worked on our project so far and what do we need to tweak, and either the way we're working together or the processes we're using to solve the challenge at hand. What do we need to change as we go forward? And then also at the end of our class period, what did we learn? How did we grow? How do we make a difference? How did this impact us individually or as a group? All the time we use reflection. And I also find that I could just ask questions all day long or have them journal their answers all day long, but those methodologies only work so far,
Mm-hmm.
or so long, which is, again, the reason we wanted to write this book on what are some creative ways that we can engage young people in reflection, some innovative tools, whether it's using drama or using art or using tangible products or using Play-Doh, or what are some crazy ways we can kind of go in the back door and help young people evaluate and use their critical thinking skills?
So I would say to Terry and Chip and Ellen that we accepted the challenge. And what you can expect to find in this book is we start out, why ask why? What's the importance of asking questions? We explore the benefits of reflection. We use a well-known fable to illustrate this fable could have turned out very differently if people had just asked questions along the way. There's some question models, so we really build that base of why anyone who's working with young people, whether you're an educator, a youth pastor, you're in an after-school space, you're in a volunteer group, we tend to think about young people, but we would use these same activities with adults as well. So whatever space you're in, you can think about how you can deepen the experience just by asking questions and reflecting. And as Anne indicated, there are some new things. So two that I'm excited about in this book is there is a yoga reflection activity. So that really helps introverts, and you're also building in exercise. So you're holding the position while you think about the question. And there are a couple superhero activities found their way in, and you just can't go wrong with superheroes. So we're really excited about all of that being meshed together, and that this is a little bit different than our bestseller Great Group Games. It's still fun, but it's setting a platform for a deeper exploration of thinking. So we just wanted to share the news. We're really excited about it. It's coming out soon, and we hope you'll check in with us. If you have any questions about the book or want to get word when it's out directly, then just feel free to email us at team, T-E-A-M, so that goes to both of us, team@writecreationsgroup.com.
WRITE creationsgroup.com. Thanks. Have a great day.
Bye.